Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The cafe was almost empty that morning, with just a few customers clinging to their routines. John Matthews had settled at his usual table by the window, his coffee steaming in front of him. The city was slowly waking up, but his mind was elsewhere. Since his wife Emily's death 8 months earlier, each morning seemed empty, every gesture mechanical. His daughter, Lily, sat opposite him, silent, watching the street as if searching for answers. Grief had changed their home, transforming their routine into a ballet of painful memories and heavy silences. As a new waitress entered the cafe, John barely glanced up, tired. But something about her demeanor, the way she carried the cups, the gentleness of her smile, struck him. A strange feeling, a mixture of curiosity and unease, washed over him. Lily, more perceptive than her father thought, whispered, "Dad, that waitress, she looks like Mom." John felt his heart freeze. His eyes left the newspaper he had placed in front of him to scrutinize the young woman's face. Every detail seemed familiar, the curve of her smile, the way her eyes sparkled when she spoke to customers, even her posture. Everything reminded him of Emily. He shook his head, refusing to believe what his eyes were showing him. Emily was dead. Her body lay in the town cemetery, surrounded by flowers and mementos. And yet, the resemblance was striking, eerie. The cafe suddenly seemed silent, as if suspended in time. John felt an icy shiver run down his spine. Was it a cruel twist of fate, a play of destiny, or something more mysterious? Lily, confused but worried, squeezed her father's hand. John remained frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe normally. The past had just knocked on the door of the present, and nothing, and no one, seemed able to prepare him for what was to come. John remained seated, his gaze fixed on the waitress bustling behind the counter. His heart beat to a strange rhythm, a mixture of fear and fascination. Every movement, every smile, every gesture of this young woman evoked Emily, his missing wife. But it couldn't be her. Emily was dead. Lily, his 10-year-old daughter, gently pulled him by the sleeve. "Dad, are you going to talk to him?" John blinked, regaining his composure. He shook his head slightly, trying to contain the emotion. "No, Lily. I can't." But the young waitress approached their table with the tray, and when she placed the coffee cups in front of them, their hands brushed. John felt a strange jolt run through his body. The young woman's voice was soft and warm, but there was something familiar about its timbre. "Hello, I'm Sarah. Would you like sugar or milk?" she asked with a shy smile. John opened his mouth, but no words came out. Sarah moved away to serve another customer, and John leaned towards Lily. "Are you sure I'm not mistaken?" he murmured. "No, it's exactly like Mom, but she's different." Throughout the morning, John couldn't concentrate on his coffee. His mind was flooded with memories of Emily, the bursts of laughter in the kitchen, the walks in the rain, the evenings spent watching movies on the sofa. And now, facing this waitress, those memories seemed to resurface with an almost painful intensity. When Sarah disappeared behind the counter, John could no longer resist. He stood up and walked towards her, trembling slightly. "Excuse me, you look a lot like someone I knew," he stammered. Sarah turned towards him, surprised. Her hazel eyes rested on him with curiosity and a slight smile. "Really? To whom?" she asked softly. John felt his breath catch. He wanted to say, "To my wife," but the words remained stuck in his throat. He simply nodded in confusion and offered an awkward smile. As he returned to his table, he couldn't help but wonder, who was this young woman? And why did Emily seem so close to him, despite her death? That morning, John understood that something inexplicable had just entered his life, and that this simple coffee would mark the beginning of an enigma that would shake his family to its core. In the days that followed, John couldn't get Sarah's image out of his mind. Every morning, he returned to the cafe, ostensibly to have a coffee, but in reality, he was trying to see her again, to understand this unsettling resemblance. Lily, for her part, was both fascinated and worried. "Dad, do you think she's a ghost?" she asked innocently one morning, as they watched Sarah laughing with a customer. John gave a sad smile. "No, Lily, it's not a ghost, but something in his eyes really reminds me of your mother." One day, John decided to approach her more directly. After paying for their coffee, he saw Sarah go outside to pick up some litter near the terrace. His heart sank, but he forced himself to speak. "Excuse me. Sarah, right?" Sarah looked at him, surprised but polite. "Yes, you recognize me?" "No, well, not exactly. It's just that you look like someone I used to love very much." Sarah frowned slightly, intrigued. "You mean, your wife?" John swallowed hard. He was amazed that she had guessed so quickly. "Yes, but it's impossible, she's dead," he murmured. Sarah seemed to hesitate, as if she was weighing her words. "My name is Sarah Collins. I'm new in town, and I don't know anyone here. But I can assure you I have no connection." She paused, "at least as far as I know." John felt a shiver run through him. The coincidences were becoming too numerous to ignore. He wondered if Sarah knew something he didn't, or if fate was playing a cruel game with him. That same week, John decided to conduct some discreet research. He scoured social media, local archives, and even public records to learn more about Sarah. Nothing seemed to connect Sarah to Emily. No family ties, no matching old surname, nothing. Yet, the feeling that Sarah carried a part of his wife was undeniable. One evening, as he was returning home, John received an anonymous message on his phone. "If you want to know the truth about Sarah, be at the old park at midnight. Alone." His heart pounded. Was it a trap? A joke? Or the first piece of a puzzle he wasn't ready to put together yet? He knew one thing: he had to go. The mystery surrounding Sarah wasn't dissipating. It was deepening, and with it, a strange and unsettling tension that promised to change his life forever. Midnight. The park was deserted, plunged into near-total darkness, lit only by a few flickering streetlights. John walked slowly along the muddy path, his phone clutched in his hand like a talisman. Every branch crunch under his feet made him jump. He looked around, trying to make out a figure. The wind rustled the leaves and seemed to whisper warnings. Suddenly, a soft, familiar voice rose behind him. "John. I knew you would come." He turned around abruptly. There, a few meters away, stood Sarah. Her eyes shone in the dim light, but there was something strangely different in her gaze, something that deeply disturbed him. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" John asked, his voice trembling. I wanted to talk to you, to warn you," she murmured. She took a step forward, then stepped back, hesitant. John felt his breath catch. He was both afraid and curious at the same time. "Prevent what?" Sarah lowered her eyes and took a deep breath. I don't know how to tell you this. But there are things you don't know about me, and about Emily." John felt his heart race. "What? What do you mean?" Sarah gestured towards him, as if to show him a photo she held in her hand. John approached, and his breath caught in his throat when he saw the image: Emily, alive, but younger, with a baby in her arms, and Sarah, beside her, almost identical. "This photo, it's impossible," John stammered, his hands trembling. "I know, but there's a reason for all of this," said Sarah, her voice breaking. "Emily and we are bound by something you don't yet understand." The wind suddenly picked up, shaking the trees and adding an almost supernatural atmosphere to the scene. John felt a mixture of fear, shock, and fascination. Everything he thought he knew about his wife's death and about Chance had just been shattered. "Sarah, tell me everything now," John murmurs. "I'm going to tell you, but what you learn could change everything, for you, for Lily, and for me." In the silence of the old park, the night seemed to hold its breath. John understood that from that moment on, his life would never be the same. And that the truth about Sarah and Emily would plunge him into a mystery he could never have imagined. The next morning, John sat at the same cafe table, but his mind was no longer at peace. Every sip of coffee tasted bitter. Sarah's words kept repeating in his head, "Emily and I, we're bound by something you don't yet understand." He knew he had to act. He returned to the cafe, determined to speak to Sarah in private. When he saw her behind the counter, she discreetly gestured for him to follow her to the back. "John. I can't lie to you any longer," said Sarah, her eyes filled with a strange sadness. "So tell me everything, everything you know about Emily." Sarah took a deep breath. "Emily and I, we are half-sisters. We didn't know it as children, but our parents separated us at birth to protect a secret that could put our lives in danger if someone discovered it." John blinked, unable to grasp the full extent of what he was hearing. "Half-sisters? But, why do you look so much like me then?" "Because we share the same blood, and because there is something more." Sarah's murmur, "Emily faked her death to protect us, to protect Lily. She knew that some people were looking for her, and she had to disappear." John felt the world crumble around him. Everything he thought he knew about his wife's death was nothing but an orchestrated lie. "But, where is Emily now?" he asked in a choked voice. "She's safe, but she can't see you, not yet. She wanted you to be prepared, to understand the truth before it was fully revealed to you." A heavy silence fell. John felt his knees tremble. He had to protect Lily, but he also had to accept this devastating truth: his wife wasn't dead. She was alive, somewhere, hidden, with a secret that could change all their lives. "John, you must promise to keep this a secret for now," Sarah said emphatically. "That if someone finds out that Emily is alive, we would all be in danger." John nodded, even though his mind was racing. He knew he was now involved in something much bigger than himself. As he left the cafe, he felt the weight of the truth press down on his shoulders. Everything he thought he knew about loss, grief, and reality had just shattered. And as he walked home, he knew the moment would soon come when he would have to confront Emily, and the truth about their past. Night had fallen on the city. John held Lily's hand tightly as they walked towards a small, secluded cottage, guided by Sarah. Each step echoed in his mind, a mixture of excitement and fear. The truth was finally about to be revealed. Sarah opened the door and invited them in. The room was dimly lit by a lamp, and there, seated in an armchair near the fireplace, was Emily. Her face was the one he knew so well, but there was a new maturity in her gaze, a gravity he had never seen before. "Dad," Emily murmured, her voice trembling but gentle. John felt his heart clench. He approached slowly, tears in his eyes. "Emily, it really is you," he stammered. Emily gets up, hesitant. "I knew this moment would come, but I had to disappear to protect you and Lily. Some people, they wouldn't leave me alone." Lily ran into her mother's arms. John felt a wave of emotion wash over him, a mixture of relief, anger, and happiness. "Mom, why didn't you tell us anything?" Lily asked between sobs. "For your safety, my darling. I had to stay hidden," Emily replied, her voice breaking. John approached and took Emily in his arms. "I don't understand everything, but I'm so relieved you're alive," he murmured. Sarah watched them with a slight smile, the mystery finally solved. "You have a lot of time to make up for," she said softly. For the first time in months, John felt a weight lift from his shoulders. The pain of loss, the confusion, and the doubt had finally found an answer. But he knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The past, Sarah and Emily's secret, and the dangers that had forced them into hiding would still be there. Yet, surrounded by his rediscovered family, John understood that love and truth could overcome even the most terrifying mysteries. And as they all sat together in the living room, a fragile but real sense of peace finally settled in. The night, once cold and unsettling, now seemed full of promise. The past had revealed its secrets, and the future, though uncertain, finally offered a glimmer of hope for John, Emily, and Lily.